And how we've done is we've looked at this long-haul model and broken it completely apart and created a completely new model for an airline. We started from scratch. We did not take AirAsia short haul and try to make it work long haul. We did not take the existing long haul model, Singapore Airlines, Emirates, British Airways, and just change it. We started completely from scratch. Okay, the key thing where we started was understanding a new customer segment. That there are a lot of people who are very price sensitive. They don't have money, but they want to travel to long distance. So these people, they care only about the cost. They don't care about a lot of other things, and that's important to know what is important and what's not important to the customer. There are three things that make this model work for us. Cost, revenue, and market. Okay, cost. Today, with only 5 airplanes, we are the world's lowest unit cost airline. Well, in airlines, they measure unit cost based on number of seats in the aeroplane times number of kilometers you fly. Our cost is 2.5. The big leader, Singapore Airlines, is 5.8. Cathay Pacific, Malaysia Airlines, about 7. Qantas, British Airways, about 8 to 8.5. There's a big difference.
The unit
cost.
Unit cost. And it is measured in
US cents per seat kilometer. How do we do it with only a small number of airplanes? Okay. Can you imagine if a power plant, a ship, a warehouse was only running at 50% of the time, running at 90%?
Тому що 90% of time.
Correct. Airline industry, the most expensive thing is the aeroplane. But all the airlines in the world, when they fly long haul, the planes are only flying 12 hours a day. Why?
Чому?
Because they've always been very premium customer focused. Two reasons. First, what time you depart and what time you arrive is tailored to the premium customer's needs. So typically at night in Heathrow or Frankfurt or Singapore, close to midnight, all the big airplanes are flying out so that the business customer can sleep on the plane and arrive in the destination early in the morning. The plane then sits on the airport for many hours before it flies back because businessmen don't want to leave at 7 a.m. So therefore the plane is on the ground. The other thing is they want connectivity, so they make planes wait for one another. For example, plane from Sydney comes to Singapore, and then from Singapore another plane goes to London. That London flight has to wait for the Sydney flight to arrive, and then within 90 minutes the passenger goes from this plane to this plane, and then this one goes on. Because the premium customer wants a short transit time. So that's why all the airlines in the world, the planes are only flying 50% of the time, because the timing of the flights is tailored for one customer's needs. We fly our planes 18 hours a day, because when we arrive in London, in 1 hour we get everybody off, fuel, food, get everybody on, fly back. Yes, but for premium airline, they take their time. So by keeping the plane flying, we don't care what time we depart, what time we arrive. So for our passenger, if they leave in the afternoon and arrive at 3 o'clock in the morning, they don't mind because they save $1,000.
What about safety?
Safety is completely the same. So everything that the premium airline does on safety and maintenance, we do the same as well. So we do our maintenance about 3 hours a day. They do maintenance about 3 hours a day as well. That's the law. The law is the same for any airline. What we have taken out is the time the aeroplane is idle, waiting on the airplane. So when I go to see KLIA and I see Malaysia Airlines big jets, There's no maintenance, no work, it's just idle. So next time when you go to airports, look at the big aeroplanes and see how most of the time they're just idle sitting. So that's the main insight, because knowing a different customer has different needs. There are many parts about the airline that we re-examine and we do things very differently. Let me give another example. Would you believe it if I said how we do food and drinks explains $100 of cost difference between us and, say, Singapore Airlines? Sounds big, right? Because the food does not cost $100. Okay. First, of course, with us, passengers have to pay for food. On Singapore Airlines, the airline has to pay for the food. On our airline, we make passenger order the food they want during booking. Do they want chicken or vegetarian at the time of booking? Exactly how many of each type of food to load on the aeroplane. Singapore Airlines or British Airways, they don't ask you beforehand. So they usually have extra because they don't know on that day how many people want the chicken or the fish or the vegetarian. Their wastage is about 20%. And with us, when you get, let's say, a chicken dish, that's all you get. With us, the food is just the dish without, other airlines, they put it in a tray with the bun, salad, cake. Okay, so all of that costs a lot of money, but the customer doesn't really value it. The biggest cost difference is the way the food is served. I assume everybody here has flown on a traditional airline, Singapore Airlines, Cathay, British Airways. Okay, you know how they serve meals. Okay, first, they come to you and give you a hot towel. Then they come again to collect the hot towel. Then they give you a drink with peanuts. Then they come again to collect the cup and the peanut. They come and give you the meal. And then they come and collect the tray. And they have to serve everybody. Sometimes even if you're asleep, they wake you up to give you food. How many times do you just want to sleep? They give you food and you're like, maybe take a little bit, and you just don't eat it. On AAX, the way we serve the meal, we know you already ordered the chicken or the vegetarian. So when the cabin crew comes, they just give you only those who want it. They just give you the meal, sell you the drink if you want the drink. And when it's finished, they just walk with a big plastic bag and throw the disposable container. It's very fast. Our planes, we have 380 seats. We only have 9 cabin crew. Singapore Airlines has 280 seats. They have 14 cabin crew, extra flying hours, extra hotel rooms. So you take all that cost, the extra cost of the food, the wastage, you divide it by number of passengers, $100. So that's basically an example of how we look at an existing business differently to come up with a very low operating
What about the planes, the crafts? You use the same modern aircraft, models of aircraft?
Brand new Airbus A330-300. 330.
The main driver for reducing the cost is eliminating of idle time.
Yes.
This savings on food, this is something complementary.
Airplane is 75%, food, airport, everything else 25%. Yes, but I only sell the seat. No free-flowing champagne.
What about excess weight of luggage?
Okay, we charge for all of those.
What's the luggage allowed for one passenger?
Even if you carry one, you have to pay.
So no free?
No free. 15 ringgit, about $4.50 Usually, you know, our unit cost is at least 60% lower than other airlines. But the ticket price, even if you add baggage and food, is still about 40 to 50% cheaper.
And the maximum haulage of AAX is up to 8 hours.
No, A330 2 engines, 9 hours.
But they still do not fly to Europe.
We have A340 with 4 engines.
And what about the crew? Do they spend the night in the airport?
Yes.
We change the crew.
Yes, we changed the crew, but they share rooms, whereas Singapore Airlines everybody gets their own. The salary is the same,
Summer.
but two
Alright.
difference. The fixed portion is smaller, and the variable portion, the hourly allowance, is higher. Yeah, which means you have to fly to earn money. If you don't fly, you're sick, you take holiday, you cannot make fuel. We manage fuel very, very regularly, but we don't tie that to financial goal.
How many planes do you have? How many planes do you currently operate?
AAX 6.
All the crafts are brand new or
Brand new.
absolutely no? Have you bought them or do you lease them?
Mix.
Mix.
50%,
Я донесу.
50% sale and
Я
leaseback.
leasing rate.
Подожди, вартість.
Annual.
1% a month, 12% a year. Today, credit rates are very high. Lucky that we can still get credit. A lot of other airlines, they cannot even get it.
We had a lecture on Islamic finance and
Но это же не под
we
лизинг.
were told that Islamic banks sometimes provide financing at 3%.
Well, that's just basic financing.
Це базове фінансування.
With airlines, you have to add in what's called maintenance reserves. And then you add this and you add that.
What were the sources of financing for AAX?
2 European banks.
Why do they granted you the loans?
Correct.
80 літаків.
But probably 80% are owned, 20% are leased.
All of them are as well brand new.
They have 15 old planes from when they first started. 2 years, those planes will be returned.
How soon do you replace the crafts? How many hours of flight or kilometers should the craft have to be replaced?
Replace? We haven't replaced because we just started, so the brand new ones. About 12 years, I would say.
You also save some money on the airports, so it's not the best airports in the country, and the connecting time is not the best.
Airport
that's
cost
true.
is only 3%.
3%, and what about other air companies?
KLM.
What's the
What are the other?
What are the airport costs of other companies?
I think it's still 3 to 5%. And how we've done is we've looked at this long haul model and broken it completely apart and created a completely new model for an airline.